every animal, to name everything. And as they gave that name, it became that. So we as humans are given that power to name something. And thus, as we name it, it becomes. So we think about the name, what's in a name? And I know there's a lot of things, what's in a name, and all these different slogans and sayings and stuff. So what really is in a name? In biblical times, when they named somebody, they named a person according to the quality that they exhibited. Their names represented the quality that they exhibited. So it's interesting, and I love to, when I do baby namings and stuff like that, I always look up the meaning of the name, and I incorporate that into a baby naming, and when I send it to the parents or whatever, they read over and they say, wow, that's really awesome how you brought that together with the quality of the name. And they said, I never really, sometimes they say, I never really looked it up to see what it meant, but it's true. That person exhibits those qualities. So it is very interesting how they exhibit those qualities. So when you think about that, what an awesome thing to have a name, Joy. Right, we got Joy. We have somebody named Joy. Now think about the power of that, because throughout your life, you could affirm, I'm Joy. I'm Joy. My name is Joy. And, so we're given that name and we become that name. And a lot of times we become that. If it's not named for that quality, because we are given that name, we become that quality. So it's a matter of, do we choose our own name for what quality we want? Or do we let somebody else give us a name and assume that quality? And that's why, when we say about sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never hurt us, it's a matter of, are we going to take that and incorporate that name into our being? Or are we just going to, know that that name is not us and not allowed to hurt us? So, we got choices there. So, when we were given authority to name, and it becomes that. I was trying to look for a story kind of to explain this, and I couldn't really find a good story. I have a couple of stories, but one thing that I thought about as I was driving here was the story about the eagle, the baby eagle. It was an eagle egg, and it dropped down, and a baby eagle hatched from the egg, and it actually dropped down into a pen of chickens. So the mother chicken saw this baby eagle and felt sorry for it and kind of took it under her wing and made it a chicken. And so the eagle grew up as a chicken with all the brother and sister's chicken, the brother and sister chickens and stuff. And as the chicken grew up, or as the eagle grew up, it would look up and see the birds flying, and it saw other eagles flying, and it had this desire within him to be an eagle. And, the little guy would say to his brothers and sisters, I want to fly like that eagle. I want to fly like that eagle. And they'd laugh at him and say, you can't fly like that eagle. You're a chicken. You're a chicken. You can't fly like an eagle. And, through all its life, the chicken had a desire to be an eagle and never followed through because it believed what his brothers and sisters and what his mother told him, that he was just a chicken. Even though he knew inside that he was much more different than a chicken. So, unfortunately, he lived and died as a chicken. And, never became or never soared like the eagle that he could be. And, I think about that as far as, how many of us are chickens? How many of us have assumed the identity or the name that other people put on us? When we have that inner knowing or that inner urging to be much more. And that's the power of a name too, is what name do we accept for ourselves? And what name can we give ourselves? So we talk about the power of a name. So what does the white stone have to do with any of this stuff? Okay? Now, everybody took a white stone with them. And the white stone, again in biblical times, when a prisoner did their time and they were released, they were given a white stone. And they carried that with them so that if they met anybody that knew they were in prison, they could use this white stone to say, I'm free. I did my time. I'm a new person now. I'm free. And they were given that white stone for that. And it was like a clean slate. When they left prison, they were given a clean slate. And, okay, so think about, tying this all in. When we did our burning bowl and everything like that, and we actually did things to release ourselves from our prisons, our own prisons. Our prisons of our thoughts, our prisons of our minds, the prisons of the names we give ourselves, the prison of the names that other people attach to us. All those things really keep us in prison because it gives us all those limitations. So, to have a white stone in your hand, think of the power to have a white stone in your hand. It says, I'm released from prison. I have a clean slate. I can do and be whatever I want. To them in biblical times, it meant they could walk around without fear. What could the power of that mean to us? Having a clean slate, that we can write on anything. In Revelations, there's a verse in Revelations, the 2nd chapter, verse 17. Let anyone who has an ear listen to what the Spirit is saying. To everyone who conquers will be given some of the hidden manna. I will give a white stone, and on the white stone is written a new name that no one knows except the one who receives it. In Unity, a lot of other Unity centers, on a yearly basis, they do a white stone ceremony, and I would like to incorporate that on a yearly basis again, because every year things change, we grow. And again, in biblical times, as people grew spiritually, or as people changed characters, their name changed. In the Bible, Saul, if you remember, Saul was the one that persecuted the Christians. And then all of a sudden on the road to Damascus, he was struck blind, meaning he couldn't see, he was blind to the outer so that he could go within. Once he was blind to the outer, he could go within. And he ended up being a helper to the Christians. And actually, helped Christianity or helped keep the teachings of Jesus alive is what we study, the teachings of Jesus. So his name was changed from Saul to Paul. Now Saul, in biblical times, means self-will, and Paul means God's will. So his character was changed, thus his name was changed. And, again, the name, we might not know what name represents the character that we want or the character that we possess now or whatever, but we do know the name of the quality, the God quality, the name of the God quality. So think about what this verse really says. It says, let anyone who has an ear listen to what the Spirit is saying. Of course, it doesn't mean our outer ear, but it means our inner ear. It's that intuition. It's that yearning to be more, or that knowledge that we can be more. That knowledge that something's calling us, something's calling us forward. Just like the eagle, who knew he could fly. There was something inside of him that knew he was more than that chicken. So, inside all of us, there's something that we know we are more than what we are now, or we could be more. Something that is pulling us forward. Some God quality that we know we have inside and we want to express on a more manifested level. So, to everyone who conquers is given some of the hidden manna. Who conquers means that you're able to go beyond your limitations. It's not like a war thing, but it's to go beyond your limitations, to go beyond your belief, to go beyond your old thinking. Whoever is able to do that is given hidden manna. They're given the power, the strength, the wisdom, everything that we need to move forward. Whoever is able to conquer those limitations is given whatever we need, which is awesome and exciting. I will give a white stone. A white stone is a symbol of freedom. And on that is written a name that no one knows except the one who receives it. In this ceremony today that we're going to be doing is, you're going to be choosing that name, or you're going to be following that inner intuition. And when you have that inner intuition, or that name comes to you, write it on your stone and carry that stone with you, because that's a reminder that this is who you are. This is who you are. Not, the past, not anything else, but this is who you are. And you know what? I'm going to leave the basket of stones available because as we grow, our names change. Just like in the Bible, you know, our names change. And that's why on a yearly basis, we should actually do this, because we change. As we grow, we become, you know, greater character. We have new things. You know, like from Saul to Paul, I went from self-will to God's will. You know, all those things, as we grow, our names change. You know, or our character changes. So I want to, there is a story here, and it's the Creator created people. He gave them words for communication and thinking. He settled them in a fertile valley at the foot of the mountains. He gave them longevity and started to observe how they aspired to develop. The time has passed, but the people did not develop. Their feet did not go beyond their village. They did not climb up the mountains. Their eyes did not look to the sky, and they did not look into their heart. So they became old. The Creator decided to find out what was the matter. He became a man and came to walk among them as a traveler. Before sunset, people gathered at the square to talk with the traveler. He described them a life beyond the horizon and suggested, "Do you want me to lead you there? And you will see how people live in those places." "Oh," they answered sadly, "it is late. We become old. Then come with me to the mountains and look at the world from the top." "Oh," they said, "it's too late. We have no energy to go to the top." "Look at the sky," the traveler said then, "and I will tell you about life in the kingdom of heaven." They answered again, "It's too late. Our minds will not understand your story." The traveler became sad. He decided to cheer people. "Let's sing a song," he said. And he was the first to sing, but he noticed that the sun had gone down. "It's late," they said. "It's time to sleep." And they went to their huts. And the traveler shouted to them, "People, when life is continuous and infinite, it is not too late for any achievements." But they did not turn back. Then the Creator told himself, "I will take away all words of limitation from people. Late, not, impossible, far, high, hard, will not understand, and will place in their hearts the joy of infinity. Maybe they will perceive my law. Nothing is late, because there is no end. There is only beginning." He did so, and waited for the morning. Will people change, and will they go with him to the mountains? And I like that story because at the end, it kind of gives us that challenge. You know, it gives us that challenge to say, you know, are we ready to let go of those words that we use? Those names that we tell ourselves as limitations. You know, we're too old. Didn't work before. You know, all of those things. You know, those names, those words of limitation. Are we able and ready to let those go and follow our Creator to the mountains and write a new name? Because once we give ourselves a new name, we become that. Right? That was one of the things. That was one of the things that we were given as being creators, is the possibility to name something and it becomes that. And when we think about that, think about in our world, you know, or in life. When we name something an opportunity, what do we see in there? We see opportunity. When we name something a disaster, what do we see? We see a disaster. When we name something bad, we see bad. When we name something good, we see good. You know, it's like the Chinese farmer who had the son, and only one son and one horse. And one night the horse escaped, and the village people said, "Oh, wow, that's so bad. Now you don't even have a horse to help you on the farm." And he said, "Oh, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, we don't know." Well, a couple of days later, the horse came back with 10 wild stallions. So now he has 11 horses. And the village people said, "Wow, that's awesome. Now you have 11 horses to help you on the farm." He said, "Oh, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, who knows?" So you know, the next day, the son went on one of the wild stallions and wanted to break it, and he fell and broke his legs. The village people said, "Oh, wow, that's really bad. Now your son has 2 broken legs and they can't help on the farm." He said, "Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, who knows?" War broke out, and the army came through the village and took every able young man. Well, his son had 2 broken legs. He couldn't go and fight in the war. So, you know, there again, and the story could go on and on and on and on and on. Is it good? Is it bad? It becomes whatever we name it. We have that power to say that. You know, and it's hard to really fathom that and understand it. That we have the power to give it a situation a name. We have the power to give ourselves that name. And once we give ourselves that name and live it, we become it. So, you know, when we talk about the meaning of a word too, I just want to, this is really cute, but, or actually it's not really cute, it's actually sad in a way, but it's, recently a worldwide survey was conducted and the only question asked was, would you please give your honest opinion about the solution to the food shortage in the rest of the world? The survey was, not surprisingly, a huge failure because in Africa, they didn't know what the word food meant. In Eastern Europe, they did not know what honest meant. In Western Europe, they didn't know what shortage meant. In China, they didn't know what opinion meant. In Middle East, they didn't know what solution meant. In South Africa, they didn't know what please meant. And in the United States, they didn't know what the rest of the world meant. So, you know, it's a matter of how do we use words? You know, how do we use words? And, you know, what is their meaning to us? You know, so as we do this, we're going to do a meditation, and as we do the meditation, I'm going to ask you to go within and listen. Listen to what name is being called to you. And it's not a name like, okay, I'm going to change my name. It might be joy because that's what we, I mean, or quality, you know. It might be faith, it might be hope, it might be all those things that we think about as girls' names or whatever. But it's the quality. What quality are we being called to do? What quality are we being called to name ourselves? Because as we name ourselves that, you know, we become that. That quality might be prosperity. That quality might be forgiveness. That quality might be generosity. That quality might be inspiration, gratitude, joy, peace, all of those things. You know, all of those things are qualities. And it's interesting because when we talk about the 12 powers, I see that Jill brought the book of 12 powers. You know, each disciple's name meant a quality. You know, so, you know, Jesus knew how important names were and what we use for those names. So it's a matter of, you know, going within and hearing that whisper of spirit. You know, let those who have ears hear. Hear that whisper of spirit and listen. And write your name on your stone because you have a clean slate now. You have a clean slate. And whatever name you write on that, you become. And know that those inner urgings are for us to fly. They've been put there by God. You know, it's a divine, divine urge. You know, it's so, you know, and sometimes, you know, you don't have to think from your head. It might seem like you're thinking from your head or whatever, but let it come from your heart. And if you don't get the name today in the meditation, you know what? Take your stone home. And know that you have at least a white stone, and that's a clean slate. And that's powerful too. So if you just go home with your white stone, know that you have a clean slate. And when your name comes, you can write your name on there. And you know, as we grow, our name changes. Just like from Saul to Paul, from Abram to Abraham. You know, so if that name changes, we'll have clean slates out there. We'll have stones that you can take a stone and do it in your privacy, because nobody knows that. Nobody knows that name except you and your Creator. And that's powerful. You know, it has to be powerful if it was, you know, one of the first stories of creation that we were given that ability to name something. And as we name it, it becomes that. That's a huge power. So, did anybody want to have any discussion before we go into meditation?
What about if you're called to be an eagle, but you still feel chicken shit inside?
What's that? Say that again.
What if you are called to be an eagle, but you still feel chicken shit inside? And the reason why I'm saying this is I have got called in by the CEO last week on this big opportunity at work, which no one's ever done. And she's like, we just think you could take the reins and do this, and I was like,
Do it, do it.
you know,
do it.
and I was like, wow, you know, she's like, you know, you just kind of, you would write the whole program and do everything, and that's never been I've always been like a passive-aggressive leader, never be up there as the leader, but they're like, oh, your personality, like, we want you to represent this, or you can do this, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like, she's like, well, you know, think it over the weekend, and then give us a definitive answer on Monday, and I have been like throwing up, I mean, I've been anxious, I'm like, oh, like, what should I do? But like, I was like, I didn't go to church today, and it's funny how you were saying this, because it's like, okay, there's that urging to be an eagle, but inside you have that, like, you have to get over your own self.
And that's,
Self,
you know what?
that fear, that, you know, like.
Fear, false evidence appearing real,
Yeah.
right? Fear is false evidence appearing real. And now, you know what, anything that is put, I truly believe that anything that is given us an opportunity or whatever, right behind opportunity is everything that we need to fulfill that. Unless we let our own fear again come and mess up the clean slate. You know, but it's a matter of knowing that. And this might be a perfect opportunity to go within and to know what quality you need to exhibit to become that.
Well, you know, it's a matter of the universe. Be careful what you wish for, because this might happen.
Just
Years
comes
ago, I wanted to do this when I was young, and I never had the opportunity. And then I got comfortable and older, and set in my ways, and now it comes at an older age, and I'm like, oh, this is a dream that I had back then. I didn't think of it now, because now I'm set in my ways. I want to give up my things that I did. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. The universe never forgets your dreams. I put it out there one time in the universe, and they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll prepare you until you're ready. And then it's like, well, here it is.
Yeah,
You're going to take it, or?
And you know what? And that's true. This Happiness Project of Reading, I have had this as a dream, thought of it, calling it different names and stuff like that. And you know, now it's finally coming to reality. But you know, you're right. The universe, you put that out there, and that's a perfect example of, you know, you put that dream out to the universe, and it's starting to get everything in place. You know, make everything in place, make everything happen. You know, that kind of thing. And we're not sure when it's going to come or how it's going to come. But it comes. And, you know, that's our, you know, and I know people say when they come to Unity, you know, they thought it would be, it's easy. You know, it's easy. Life should be easy. You should be able to go to church, say, I did this wrong, and then you can go and live happily ever after, instead of doing something ourselves to let go of our fears, to let go of, and to really know what it is that's holding us back, and be willing to let that go. Be willing to let that go. And be willing to write on our clean slate what quality we need. And that could be just success. You know, knowing that that's there.
Neil Donald Walsh says, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. We are of one mind. Everything is a stepping stone. Everything.
That's what you wanted to hear.
Big time.
I don't know whether anyone is familiar with writings of Cryon, okay? And Cryon says that only part of us is here, you know, in the human existence. And there's another part of us that we don't realize that is there, and it's like beyond the veil. And that, I think that's like kind of symbolic, because it doesn't mean that there's an exact heaven, but I think right now, and I'm no one to really speak about this because I'm being challenged by it, and I think everyone is being challenged by it, that in this time that we take a look at ourselves and to really act, to think and act, to emulate what our higher self is, and that's that one divine love. It's not judging, but I'd be a lot more comfortable if this was just all something we talk about and we didn't have to go forward and act on it, you know. But this is the spirit of time right now, to do it, to really, really do it. And we are reminded, though, that we're not that person that we think that we are, but that's not always so easy to to get rid of maybe some patterns, some fear, but to know that it was a residue that served us in a time of survival, And this really seems like it's a time of survival more than anything else. But, that this is the time to do it, and that we always have, the spirit that is around that will help us. And when we release and let go of the things that we need to, and believe me, I'm not talking as one who's saying, I've done it, I'm trying right now, that we will synchronistically be put into connection with what it is, who it is that we need, that we never know, that we never knew. Maybe something we had to say, we just never knew we were going to say it until we got there or something. I don't know.
And it's interesting when you said about a bigger part of us. If you listen to Esther Hicks, she always says, when we have a desire, our inner being is there already, pulling us forward, pulling us towards that. So that part of us that's connected is there already, pulling us. Pulling our humanness along with us. So, did you want to say something?
I just quickly wanted to remind Joy of what she said a couple of weeks ago about answered prayer. Yes, not at this time, but a better outcome.
Right.
I think this is your better outcome.
Well, I have a funny anecdote because, my name being Joy, everyone assumes I should be joyful all the time. Sometimes I feel like I want to change my name to Woe. But, no, but anyway, so, being that as a child, my parents are both dark hair and dark eyes. So, when you get to kindergarten, like, you're adopted, your parents, don't look like you. They're like, well, maybe I am. So the one day I was like, I'm going to trick my mom into finding out how I got my name because she would know. So the one, as a little 5-year-old, I go to my mom and I'm like, well, how did I get my name Joy? Thinking that she's going to say, when I saw you, you gave me so much joy, it was a joy, whatever, that kind of sentimental type of thing. And she looks at me, she's like, Joy, well, I was just about to go to the hospital. I saw all these dishes piled up. And I thought, my mom's very much like, everything has to be in a swing. She said, so I thought, I better get these dishes done because I think I'm going into labor. She said, so I pulled out dish detergent and I looked and I saw Joy. And she said, I thought, oh, that's a good name. And this is me as a person. I'm like, that's how I got my name. I was like, I wanted her to make up a better story. Like, what now? I know my name was dish detergent. And I could be anything. I could be Sunlight, Ajax, Dawn. I don't know. Oh my God. So when people say, oh, they assume that my mom named me Joy because of the joyfulness, but it really wasn't. I'm named after a dish detergent. That's why I'm actually live up to this name.
But I think everybody, I think you know what? From what we see since you've come in here, you are joy. You brought joy in here. So you are joy. You are joy. So yeah. So it was definitely the correct name. And it's like. We asked about answered prayer. Like you say, be careful. It's like the guy that fell off the ledge and held on to the branch and said, okay, God, if you're up there, let me know what to do. And he hears his voice, let go. And he said, okay, is there anybody else up there? It's the thing about praying, but then being able to follow answered prayer, and having that, knowing that, we need a clean slate. To to follow through with answered prayer, because we got to let go of all that other stuff. And you know what? I do this. I do the messages because I need them. And with the Happiness Project, I got to let go of a lot of stuff too, to move forward. So it's a continual growing process. So know that whatever name you put on the stone today, that name will change as you evolve. Okay? All right. So we will go into meditation, and like I say, if does everybody have at least a pen or a marker at their table or whatever? If you don't have a name, or if you want to write it with a special pen or marker or something like that, when you go home, you can certainly do that too. You don't have to use what's here, so you can either grab the marker when it comes to you and write the name on, or you can just hold on to your stone and. If it doesn't come to you, you can do that later on. But at least think about the clean slate that you have. You know, the clean slate of opportunity. You're free. You're free from limitations. So I invite you to close your eyes and just feel the chair supporting your body, just as the love of God supports your being. Feel the floor supporting your feet. Feel the energy in the room. The sound of the music. And as you become still, open yourself up and allow God to express through you and as you. I invite you, as you hold this white stone in your hand, to know that it is a symbol of new life, a symbol of new opportunity. It's a symbol of who you have become, or who you are becoming, or who you want to become. It's a chance for open opportunity. It's a chance to use your creative ability, that creative ability that is God-given. Feel the presence of God and know your oneness with God. Know your I amness with God. Feel that loving presence of God as it supports you and surrounds you. Know that right now you are safe and secure. You are loved and supported by the presence of God. Know that you are supported and encouraged by your fellow travelers on your spiritual path. Know that you are loved and appreciated by the spiritual community. Behold the Christ of God in each of us, saying, I make all things new. Let anyone who has an ear listen to what Spirit is saying. To everyone who has conquered, I will give the hidden manna. I will give a white stone, and on that stone is written a new name that no one knows except the one who receives it. Along with this white stone, you're given a promise of a new life. It's a symbol of a clean slate, as was the custom in times of biblical times. As one was set free from prison, they were given the white stone. And they carried that stone to show everyone that their slate was clean and that they were free. As you hold this white stone, feel that feeling of freedom. That feeling of limitations and burdens released. Whatever has gone on in the past, we let it go. It's a sign of our ability in this moment to live in a new beginning. This is the moment that we are free. Free from anything that has bound us in the past. Free from the prison that we have put ourselves into. To those who move forward in faith, a new name is given. So now we meditate on our new name. For each of us has overcome something in our life. We have freed ourselves to live more fully, more consciously. We accept the wholeness of spirit. As you feel the white stone in your hand, realize the gift that you have been given. This is a gift of choice, a gift to live differently from today on, to live life more fully, to begin anew, to connect with God and and to co-create with God. To be the person that you're being called to be. To do what you're being called to do. To soar and fly as an eagle. In the book of Revelations, it says that the white stone carries a new name for you, a spiritual identity, a deeper awareness of what God has planned for you. No one in the entire universe, except you and God, know what this new name is. But as it comes to you, let it be lived out. Let it express through you and embody you. It is what God is calling you to be or do. It is a whisper from your soul. Begin to reflect on a new name. Let it come to you easily, without trying to make it happen. Let a name come to you that marks a new beginning. Feel the stone in your hand and hear it beckon to you. Spirit has decreed a name for you to be written on the stone. What will your life be called from this point on? As you are guided by Spirit, I ask you to trust in this new moment. Look at this as an insight into your divine purpose, an insight into your holy essence, an insight into the secret place of the Most High. I invite you to allow yourself to hear the new name that God has for you. As the name becomes clear, at any time you can write it on your stone. Maybe a title. It may be something like published author, clean or sober, grateful, whatever comes to you. Success, joy, peace. If a name has not come to you, stay quiet and allow yourself to ask for deeper understanding. Know that you put it into the universe. If a name does not come to you at this time, know that with an open heart and an open mind, you will get your new name. Behold, I make all things new. For you are my beloved child, with whom I am very well pleased. As thankfulness flows over you, after receiving a new name, along with this new name comes power and guidance to achieve all that we desire. Along with this new name comes everything that we need to fulfill it, to become it. This is our new name. We see it, we decree it. We're on the path to gaining greater insights and awareness, a mark of new beginning. It is your Father's great pleasure to give you this kingdom. Accept this consciousness of ever-growing, increasing good in your life. As you carry this white stone with you, let it be a reminder of this promise. It is God's great pleasure to give you the kingdom. Amen. As you hold the white stone in your hand, feel its power. If you've put a new name on it, feel that already internalizing into your being. If not, know that as you keep an open mind and an open heart, you'll receive that new name and know when to write it on your stone. I invite you, when you're ready, to come back into this room, holding on to the power